My next guest, you know well, Dinesh D'Souza, author of a brand new book, Vindicating Trump, that's now a major motion picture as well. It's been in the theaters about 2 weeks. Dinesh has been out there. He's put his career out there as a writer, a scholar, public intellectual, filmmaker, as you know. And what about Vindicating Trump? He's here with me to discuss it in detail. Dinesh, good to have you.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. All right, so I want to read something here and have you reflect on your words. Not since Lincoln has a man drawn such intensely opposite responses of love and hate. And even in Lincoln's case, that intensity was over the issue of slavery. With Trump, the intensity is over the man himself. What do you mean by that?
Well, Lincoln, of course, had devoted followers and he had ultimately haters, and there was an assassination of Lincoln by John Wilkes Booth. But John Wilkes Booth didn't hate Lincoln. He hated Lincoln's policies. He hated the Republican Party. He was hoping the South would rise again. But when you look at the antagonism over Trump, it's not over Trump's policies in particular. Trump politically is right of center, but pretty moderate. It is something about Trump, the man, that brings out an intense loyalty, but also intense loathing. You remember the iconic scene, and of course it's in our film, Trump coming down the escalator in 2015 when he first announced for president. I kind of envisioned the cultural elites at the top of the escalator. These are the people who, Oprah Winfrey's there and Ellen DeGeneres and all the Hollywood people, and they used to love Trump. But then Trump does something very fateful and significant. He gets on the escalator, he goes down, he descends. And where does he descend to? Well, I kind of envision at the bottom of the escalator, the forgotten Americans, the ordinary guys who are screwed over and ignored by both parties, their jobs are traded away. And Trump is not one of them, but they see him coming down, joining them, taking up their cause. So they become very loyal to Trump, very attached to him. Meanwhile, the cultural elites at the top of the escalator, they see Trump as having left their side, betrayed them, taken up with the pitchfork people, turned against them. So here in a single image, you can kind of see why the same people who used to love Trump turned so hatefully and viciously against him.
Right, but they've lied. And that's the thing. Whether it's an Oprah Winfrey or the others in the Hollywood elite circles that used to, rub elbows with Trump, Oprah Winfrey said, "You'd make a great president." I'm paraphrasing a bit. "And would you ever run?" He said, "And if I did, I'd win." This is Oprah Winfrey in an interview, and suddenly she's at the Democratic National Convention calling Donald Trump the worst human being to ever grace the planet. It really is remarkable, isn't it?
He is, well, here's the thing. Trump is a different kind of a Republican. First of all, he's a kind of an 800-pound gorilla, and he poses a threat to the 800-pound gorilla on the other side. No other Republican does. You see this in the way that Trump has reacted to the way they've tried to get him. Look at the 91 criminal charges. Now, any other Republican facing 2 criminal charges would have exited the race, fled the field, never be heard from again. Trump is not only endured, but he does his legal rope-a-dope. He attacks the judge. He somehow pushes forward. His reaction to the 2 assassination attempts is nothing short of legendary. I don't know a person alive who would respond in that way. And it conveys that Trump has the supreme political virtue of courage. So the left knows that, and it scares them. That's why they're so determined to get rid of this one guy. They feel like any other Republican they know how to handle, but not Trump.
Do you think that all of these things, I've been watching the betting markets, Dinesh. I've been watching the erosion of support for Kamala Harris from a variety of places, Hispanic voters, black voters, voters that are suburban voters, all eroding away from Kamala Harris. But Donald Trump's approval ratings never get above about 43, 44% as to people that like him because he has been painted so viciously into this corner. But if you were going to wager $1 today, do you think Donald Trump wins in November?
I think he does. I think the reason the election is even close, if we had a fair-minded media, if we had open discussion and debate on our digital platforms like YouTube and Facebook, this election would not even be close. So the power of the Democrats comes from the institutional coordination between all the various institutions they control, including places like the police agencies of government and the digital platforms, of course. for a lot of independent voters, the main source of information that they get comes from the mainstream media. These are not people necessarily who get conservative media. So it is amazing that Trump is holding as well as he does, given the relentless lying propaganda coming from the media. Essentially, what they're saying to the American people is, listen, don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe your pocketbook. Don't believe the crime rates you see in your town or city. Don't believe the hordes of people you see crashing over the border. Don't believe any of it. You should believe this kind of manufactured, new and beautiful Kamala Harris that we're going to offer you, this smoke and mirrors image of the Democratic candidate. They're counting on the American people to be complete and total suckers.
Yeah, hundreds of millions, maybe billions of dollars spent now. In-kind contributions, if you will, from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, the list goes on. The only thing that's safe is Twitter, X if you prefer. And that's because Elon Musk bought it for $44 billion. They laughed at him at the time, by the way, and Elon continues to build a huge platform there. And he's openly supporting Trump. He says he's got to win, otherwise I'm going to prison. I just watched an interview of him laughing about that. And you laugh about that. But if Kamala Harris wins, it's not a safe place. You've already been jailed. Elon Musk will be jailed. Other prominent voices, not just silenced, jailed, including Donald Trump himself, almost for sure. I mean, it's a frightening place, isn't it?
One of the key themes in the film and the book, and by the way, if I can mention, vindicatingtrump.com is the website. If you plug in your town or city, it'll tell you where the movie's playing. The book is out today. Is this, and that is, where is the threat of dictatorship or tyranny coming from? I agree the threat is real. The left says it's coming from Trump. But what did Trump do in his first term that was dictatorial at all? How many leading Democrats did he prosecute or lock up? None. Sometimes in the rallies, they'd say lock her up in connection with Hillary, but Trump didn't even take the first step to do that. By contrast, virtually all the signature elements of a police state are now present in the US, but they're all coming from the left. And so mass surveillance, systematic censorship, criminalization of political differences, political prisoners, trying to lock up the leader of the opposition party, assassination attempts directed at the leader of the opposition party. All of this is being driven by the anti-Trump movement and not by Trump himself.
Absolutely true. Dinesh D'Souza, the book and movie, Vindicating Trump. You can find out where it's playing right now, vindicatingtrump.com. Get yourself a copy of the book as well. Maybe the most consequential president in a generation. I think that's pretty fair to say. Maybe one of the most consequential presidents in American history. We'll see how the election plays out as Democrats do everything they can to try to defeat the man that they fear by painting him as something he's not. Vindicating Trump, Dinesh D'Souza. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
All right. VindicatingTrump.com. Still to come today, Eric Trump will be here, Donald Trump's son. So you don't want to miss that. Plus, we're going live to Florida as Milton bears down on the peninsula. Could be the worst hurricane in a generation. Milton, a Category 5, 180 mile per hour sustained winds now, 200 mile per hour gusts. Yeah, it's a real beast. We'll be back on the Steve Gruber Show.